general. So if you're able to, just throw that to the side, and throw your egos to the side, but continue to bring that confidence of what y'all trying to do with keeping the main thing. Not saying it's that easy, but for us it's that easy when it comes to our relationship. Like I said, it doesn't result in wins every night. It doesn't result in me putting up numbers and him putting up numbers every night. But as far as our brotherhood and our chemistry, that's what it boils down to.
All right, Dan.
LeBron, last night you said that you think it's easier to lose. It's easier to learn from wins than it is from losses. I'm curious, though, how did the 2007 finals shape the next 13 years of your career, going through that first trip and feeling that pain from that series?
Well, I mean, obviously they were the better team. Dealing with, Timmy and Manu and Tony and Pop, 4 Hall of Famers. I knew it would be challenging not only, for myself, but for our franchise and for our ball club. I saw the way they approached every game, how they approached every possession, how they didn't make mistakes. They weren't just happy with being there. They wanted to be great as a unit, as individuals as well. And I sensed that as a 22-year-old, and I saw that as a 22-year-old. And that helped shape me year after year after year after year, just holding on to that feeling of not being able to reach the ultimate goal. But at the same time, like I said, just having that adversity and having those moments has put me in a position where I've been throughout my career.
All right, and we'll have the last two. Will?
Yes, last two for you, Brian Mahoney.
Can you go back there? I want to see you. I want to see you, bro.
LeBron, when you went to the first finals against Golden State, you lost Kyrie Irving in game 1. You already lost Kevin Love. And then you went out and won the next couple games. When a team is in Miami situation now and they talk about next man up, how did you guys go from sort of saying we can still do this to actually putting together a plan and then going out and actually doing it the next couple games?
I think every situation is different. For us, obviously, losing Kyrie and losing Kevin in that playoff run was detrimental to our success. We were still able to have some success, but we never fully reached the full potential of what our ball club could be in that run. So that's different from, I can't correlate that to what today is all about. For us as a ball club and us as the Lakers, our mindset is game 1 is over, and game 2 we got to be better than we were in game 1. And when we approach that with that mindset and be as desperate as the opponent, then we give ourselves a good chance to win.
And last one for you, Jason Jackson.
Brian, you guys were still able to create and sustain 3 separate runs despite not having those benchmark things for points in the paint and fast break points. What did you like most about the ability to do that despite not having those weapons where you usually have?
Yeah, for us, we don't let, the game kind of dictates itself at times, and we have to win in different ways. And, we're very good at the fast break game. We understand that. But when we make our markers on the defensive end, when we're getting deflections, we're getting block shots, we're contesting shots either at the rim or at the perimeter or the mid-range and things of that nature, which creates early offense for us. It doesn't always show up in the box score, but when we're active defensively, we're extremely, extremely good team. So every game is going to be its own challenge, and we understand that, and you have to win games in different fashions, sometimes even outside your own box. But I think the great teams learn that throughout the course of a run, throughout the course of a season, And that's what puts them in a position to compete for a championship, which we are today.
With Mike Purnell, please. Thank you.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Hey, Frank, what's the way that you might change or evolve your approach to Game 2, given the news that it's doubtful you're going to see either Bam or Goran Dragic? How does that impact the way you're going to prep for the game?
Well, we first plan on those guys playing. Injury report can change overnight, and we have to be prepared for those guys to be in until game time, until they're ruled out. Secondly, they got a deep team, and we saw that in the fourth quarter with how Nunn played, how Olenek played, how Derek Jones played. We know they have an army of guys that play a great style of play that's very, very difficult to guard. They work extremely hard on the defensive end, and we got to prepare for whoever's in uniform.
Jason?
Coach Jason Jackson from Miami Television. A question for you about the runs that you guys got in 3 different really nice sustained runs. When you guys get into that mode, it seems like you're just running downhill. Are those essential against the way Miami plays defense, or is it just a wonderful benefit of the way that you guys tend to play?
Well, we have that ability to explode. We've shown that throughout the course of the season. What I liked about it is that we did it mostly with defense and half-court offense, with really moving the basketball well. I think when we're at our best, it's mostly happening on the break, by getting stops and getting out on the break, and we really didn't run to the level that I think we're capable of. But credit that bench unit. In the first quarter, when Rondo, Alex, and Kuz came in, and KCP hit some big shots in the latter part of the first quarter, and just Keith coming in, Braun coming back in with the second unit. Those were the guys that really dominated that stretch. But I was really pleased with how our bench played.
Allison?
Start with Kyle Goon.
Frank, when it comes to getting rotation, you've had a pretty big rotation with these guys, and obviously you talk about your depth and your veteran leadership, but how do you kind of balance, especially in series like this, sort of giving everybody a chance, but also keeping it tight enough where you guys can be competitive and keep an advantage?
Yeah, we don't really try to give guys a chance, so to speak. We're going to play the guys that are going to help us win that stretch. And whether that means 9-man rotation, 10-man rotation, we want to have fresh bodies in there as much as possible, which I probably overextended a couple guys in certain stretches last night. I have to be careful about that. But the way this team plays, it makes sense to only use one of our bigs. That could potentially be JaVale at some point in this series, because his length, even though we're using Dwight's physicality right now to start, I think his length could present a problem for them on the defensive end. So everybody on our team's got to stay ready, and we'll approach each game with the combinations we feel like are going to win that game.
Dan?
Frank, you mentioned the shots that KCP hit at the end of the first quarter. He shot the ball pretty well since the start of the playoffs, but just how much is that threat of spacing from a wing player, how much does that do for the rest of your offense? And obviously I know last night you said it's his defense is kind of where he makes his money on this team, but I'm curious, more specifically, that threat of spacing, especially against what Miami's trying to do.
It matters. Gravity is always good for your offense, and that's what we described, as, even when they're not making shots, just being on the floor, you have to honor them out there. But, Miami's an intelligent defense that honors the paint first, no matter who's out there. It doesn't matter who's on the perimeter. They're going to flood to the paint and, fly around like we do on the backside, getting to shooters. So, I don't know if it's a great value to just have gravity against this team, because they're, obviously they're great at guarding the paint and getting to shooters.
We'll send it back to you, Will.
All right, Frank, yes, I'll have 2 more for you. Alan Slewa.
Hey, Coach. You've kind of consistently complimented Miami, Coach Spoelstra, and kind of had a respect to the way they fight. What do you expect from them in Game 2, knowing that, certainly this is a team that shows up every night?
Well, you said it right there. we have great respect for them and how much they fight, how hard they play, how well connected they are. And, their offense, is a sort of we call it an everyone is live offense. And the movement, the diversity, the balance that they play with, everybody's a threat on the court at all times with how well they move without the basketball and how good their bigs are at passing the basketball. So, we feel like this Miami team is as difficult to guard as any team we played in the playoffs thus far. And there's a reason they're 12-3 coming into this series, and we can't let our guard down at all.
David?
Hey, Coach, this is Davide from Italy. You guys are going to play with a Kobe's jersey tomorrow once again. How much is important for you representing Kobe? I know you've talked about this in the past, but how much is important for you representing Kobe in the finals, knowing that the last time the Lakers were there, he was the MVP of the finals?
Well, that's what you think about when you think about Kobe Bryant. I mean, obviously, he makes big shots throughout every regular season and whatnot, but you think about Kobe Bryant, you think about championships, and you think about the NBA Finals and all the big moments that he had in the finals. So while we've wanted to embody what he stood for and represent his memory all throughout the year, we want to do that more so now than ever.
Yes, thank you. Mike Trudell?
Hey, Anthony. LeBron was just talking about how jealousy and envy can be a thing when you put two alpha dogs together on an NBA team or sort of just in general. And he said that hasn't been the case at all with you guys. I wondered if you had expected that, like when when the trade happened, when you first teamed up with LeBron, and then how that's played out throughout the season for you.
I never crossed my mind when the trade happened. I'm not jealous of him. He's not jealous of me. I think it shows on the court. I mean, obviously that can always creep in when you got, like you said, two alpha males on the same team. But I think when you got two guys who are very selfless and want to win, as bad as both of us want to, the rest of it goes away and just take care of itself. So jealousy has never been a thing on our team from anyone. Everyone is extremely excited for the other guy. When guys get awards or accolades, our team is the first one to congratulate them. So and we make sure that we bring it up in film or after the game or whenever we see it. But no one is jealous of one another.
AD, you talked last night about how, there were the little nerves at first, but then once you start playing the game, they go away, and now you're just playing basketball. Today, and sort of preparing for game 2, does it feel the same as it had felt in other series, or is there a difference for you because this is the finals?
It was the same in other series. It was always at game 1 because you want to play so well and get off to a 1-0 start, but now, you had that game 1. You had what it's going to feel like. You know what it takes. Now it's just about going out and competing at a high level. The adjustments you have to make. You know what you can do better. You know what you did well. And so for me, game 2, I think will be a lot more easier for me from a nerve standpoint to just go out there and play.
Allison?
Jeff Zilgett.
Anthony, I guess it's a follow-up on that first question on the jealousy angle. What's allowed beyond that, the friendship to flourish? I know you guys joked about stepbrothers the other night, but there's probably a serious component to the relationship that's made this work.
We hold each other accountable. When we watch film or even during the course of a game, if I did something wrong, he tells me. If he does something wrong, I tell him. And I think that's what makes it work. Knowing that we trust one another to make reads, to make calls, we're able to talk to one another. Some guys on some teams, are afraid to jump on the star player, and and it's everyone on our team. Our team, a guy can tell a guy something, and we know it's coming from a great place, and we know it's coming from a guy who wants to win. So, but me and Brian has always been able to, communicate with each other about whatever it is on the floor, which I think helps us knowing that whatever he's telling me is coming from a good place, knowing that he wants to win. And then off the floor, we just, since I went to his camp, and then in 2012 on the Olympic team, we just kind of built that relationship, which kind of lasted until today.
All right, Dave McMenamin.
LeBron said part of the key to you guys' relationship that there is no jealousy. So, and this is meant to be in good fun. If you were to be jealous or envious of anything that LeBron has or is or does, what would it be?
That he has a ring. But he made a promise to me, and so far he's kept it. So hopefully I don't have to be envious of that much longer. But I want to win, and he has 3 of them. And so that will be the one thing for sure that I'll be jealous about.
Okay, Kyle Goon.
You have talked about how you picked up things from LeBron and sort of figured out your way along this playoff push. Do you feel like your effort in Game 1 yesterday just reflects even personal growth, maybe in confidence, maybe in preparedness, or anything else from that Game 1 when you played against Portland and you were just starting this run?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think our entire team has grown from, our first series until now. I think everyone's confidence is very high. I think guys know where they're going to get their shots. We know what we're doing on defense. Guys trust each other more. Guys are locked in more. And so it all ties together when you get to this stage. And, but for me personally, having a team like this, a coaching staff like this, and a guy like Dubs, Bron, and Doe, and JR specifically, and Markeith, who always, instills confidence into me. I saw an article, Keith said, he thought the best player, even though we had Brian. He tells me that before every game. Every game since Keith's been on this team, before I go on the court, he always said, "You're the best player in the world." And, having a guy constantly tell you that, it gives you enough confidence to go out there and just play. Play with the swag that you have. And, when you have guys always talking to you in your ear about greatness and seeing Bron, how great he is and the things he do on the floor, and guys on our team as well who does great things on the floor, it makes you want to be better. It makes you want to fit in with that group. And so that's what I try to do, just go out there and play with a lot of effort, a lot of energy, knowing that it helps the team. The team start playing a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and it end up usually working out for us.
Take Dan.
Hey, D, KCP is shooting like 45% from 3 I think since the first game of the playoffs. How much has that spacing made life easier on you during this stretch?
Ton. He's been able to shoot the ball extremely well, and it created so much space for everybody. For me, Bron, Doe, AC, Markeith, when he gets it in the post, like, you can't help off of him. He's one guy. Danny, they're the shooters on our team, and those guys you can't help off of. And when we're making threes like that and scoring in the paint, we're able to beat you multiple ways. And especially when Miami goes zone, the best way to get a team out of his zone is shooting them out of his zone. If you're not getting to the paint, and like I said, KC hit those 2 big threes for us in the first quarter to get us going. If you don't make those threes, it could be a different game. So, the confidence we have in him, the confidence he has in himself to go out every night, locked and loaded, and ready to make big shots for us is key. And we're going to need that for the rest of the series.
Okay, back to you, Will.
All right, yes, I'll take three more. Alan Slewa.
Hey, D, just want to get your thoughts on, we talk so much about what you do on the defensive side. How helpful is it with some of these role players? How much easier, I guess, does it make your job when KCP, Dwight Howard, Alex Caruso, you got a lot of guys obviously chipping in on the defensive side?
That was great. KCP and AC, specifically takes the role and the challenge of guarding their best player on the perimeter, or the best shooter. I think they did a good job on Duncan Robinson last night. And Tyler Hero, he got going early, but they started to lock in to him. They take it personal. They don't want, guys scoring on them. And so, when you got guys like that on the defensive end, and then you include, a defensive player of the year in Dwight, and then a guy like myself and Bron and Doe, when we're all locked in together defensively, we're a better team. And, for us, it starts with defense to lead our fast break and lead our offense. So when we got guys coming out playing scrappy, playing tough on the defensive end, that's what we want. And we just try to make it harder for the other team.
Hey, D. LeBron talked about in terms of his leadership how he doesn't like to just talk about it. He wants to be about it. What have you learned about the way he locks in and carries himself and approaches this time?
He's absolutely right. I mean, he'll say something, but at the same time, he even wants to make sure that he's short on the floor. If he's saying that he has to, be ready to move in rotation, in film or doing walkthrough, he's going to make sure he's there. And if he's not, it goes back to guys getting on him. And, he says, my bad, won't happen again. Or he knows during the game, like he tells everybody my fault. So, we've never been a team to, not do what you preach. And, especially him, he's very locked in right now into the game plan. And, we try to limit our mistakes as much as possible, knowing that we can't give a team, like the Heat, easy buckets off our mistakes. So we're locked in, he's locked in, and we try to play mistake-free basketball as much as possible.
All right, last one for you, Jason Jackson.
AD, despite the fact that you guys didn't hit your usual numbers for points in the paint and fast break points, you were able to blow this thing open and get it to 30 at a certain point. You had those three runs, one in the first, second, and third quarter. What'd you like about being able to still get to that and have those sustainable runs despite not having your signature aspects offensively?
Yeah, I think we did it with stops. We got some stops, and like I said, guys made open shots. Offensive rebounds. We crashed the glass, and guys shared the ball. We were cutting, but at the end of the day, it all started with our defense. To be able to limit, a great scoring team, who could shoot, with their shooters, and also get to the paint and get to the free throw lines. And we were able to limit those scoring options for them and be able to go on the other end and score ourselves. So, as long as we keep playing defense and keep doing the things we're doing defensively, then we should be fine.
All right, thanks, AD. Thanks, everybody. We're open for...
Media availability continues on NBA TV after the break with our Jared Greenberg sitting down with Lakers guard Rajon Rondo. Stay with us. We'll look in on Lakers practice as well.
When your opponent is missing a couple of key players, what's key mentally, the message to relay to your team?
Keep the same thing. You prepare for whoever's out on the floor. It's going to be 5 guys in the opposing jerseys on the floor, and they're all dangerous. No matter who's in the lineup, no matter what the name is, you have to approach it like they all can beat you, as a unit. And as individuals, they're on the floor for a reason. So we understand that we will have a game plan, no matter who's out on the floor. But that's not for us to worry about. For us to worry about is how we approach the game, coming into game 2, and how we continue to work our habits and try to be as great as we can be throughout 48 minutes.
Michael Lee.
Hey, LeBron, in what ways have you benefited from all these finals appearances in terms of what it's meant to have the game's best coaches kind of expose any weaknesses and kind of, nitpick at your game? And what coaches that you face on this stage have had the biggest influence on your improvements?
I mean, like I mentioned last night, best teacher in life is experience, and I've played against great coaches throughout my whole career, not only in the regular season, but also in the postseason, throughout first, second, third, in finals runs. I played against some exceptional coaches, great coaches, Hall of Fame players, and they've all, opponents and coaches, have helped me get to this point where I am today, to a point where I have no weakness, offensively or defensively, to where if I can read a defense and I can exploit it, I can put myself in a position to be successful. Doesn't mean that the ball goes in all the time, but I'm not there's nothing on the floor that I cannot do at this point in my career, and that's all because of the competition and the adversity and the losses and everything I've been through throughout the course of my career. That at that point in time, I said, okay, well, I got to work on that because that's what they're allowing me to have, and now I got to work on this because they're shutting this down in my game. So, it's just all, like I said, the best teacher in life is experience, and I've experienced it all.
LeBron, last night you were so excited to get back into the film and just kind of go over what had happened in Game 1. How late did you stay up watching last night? And then today, have you guys gotten together and also to watch film? And then also, I was wondering what your biggest takeaways were from that review.
Set up to about 4:30 in the morning last night. Breaking down the film individually. Watching and seeing things that we did throughout the course of the game, seeing ways we were great, seeing ways where we're not so great, and a lot of them was things that we can control. We're playing against an exceptional basketball team, obviously great coached, so we have to continue to understand that coming into game 2. It was great to get with the guys today earlier and go over the film and like I said, see things that we can do a lot better, both offensively and defensively. They're going to make adjustments in game 2. And we need to be ready for that. So we can't come out with the energy that we had in Game 1 and go down 23-10 and expect a different result or expect the same result as we had in Game 1. So we look forward to that challenge.
Allison?
I'll start with Dave McMenamin.
LeBron, when a player's been in the league as long as you have, 17 years, and been in the league in an era where players move from team to team often, something like this is bound to happen. But what's it like going up against a guy like Jay Crowder, who you had playoff battles when he was in Boston, then you were teammates, and now here you are going against one another again with the finals on the line and having some physical moments in Game 1?
It's like every other individual I've went against in this playoff run.
Morgan?
Hey, LeBron, we talk about your leadership and how much you're able to help teach your teammates. What does that look like during the regular season versus during the finals?
I think for me, it's all about how you approach, being a professional, and that's both on and off the floor, how you show up to work, how you walk, how you move, how you prepare. It's not all about just talking about it, it's how you be about it as well. And leadership is not, you don't get to pick 2 or 3 days. Friday. No, it's an everyday thing, both on the court and off the court. So, I try to lead by example. I lead by my voice as well. But I put the work in. And I think, my guys see how much I put the work in, and they allow me to lead them. And I respect them for that. And I'm humbled by that as well.
All right, Gary?
LeBron, non-finals question. One of your rookie basketball cards bid for $1.8 million and another bid for $900,000. I mean, given your kind of humble beginnings, I mean, what do you think of that when, you're still playing and it's not like you're Honus Wagner or Babe? How do you kind of take that in when somebody's paying $1.8 million for your rookie card?
I think it's pretty cool. That's the first thing I think about, and think about where I come from. Hearing those numbers, you didn't hear those numbers much growing up, obviously where I'm from. And the second thing I think about is I have 2 rookie cards of my own, so I'll be good for a very, very long time. No matter what happens, I'm good.
Sorry, Sam.
LeBron, a couple days ago, you talked about when it comes to what's happening in the world right now, controlling what you can control. On the voting front, the Washington Post today had a story come out saying that the players have gone from, I think, 22% to 85% representation. That's you guys controlling what you can control. How much pride do you take in that? And do you feel like that message is landing and will make a mark?
That is the hope. Sam, that's the hope every day that you can educate and you can get people motivated to go out and create change. And I've just tried to put not only myself but my team in position to be able to educate whoever needs it, and to encourage and to empower people in our communities. Like I said, we always talk about change in our communities. We want change. We want to see this. We want to see that. We have the opportunity to do so. And it's an honor for me to be in a position where I can have a platform and I can have a support system and I can have a group of people that we can put together a plan and then execute that and give it back. And it's also very humbling as well to hear that number, that percentage go from the low 20s to the 80s. It's something that we want to continue to grow. Hopefully we can be in the 90s by next week and even higher in the higher 90s by November. We want to continue that. Also, had a lot of the volunteer poll workers in the virtual fan thing last night, 40 of them to be exact. And we have over 10,000 volunteers right now with more than a vote, with the campaign that we're doing, initiative that we're doing, and hopefully we can continue to get 11,000 tomorrow and 12,000, and continue to grow that because it's so important. We understand that, especially with COVID going around and not having the elderly out of their homes and doing those things. So having the younger generation being able to come in and help out in such a difficult time right now with the virus that's going on still is very, very key. So like I said, I'm proud of where we are, but we have a lot more room to go, and hopefully we continue to do that.
Okay, Jeff.
LeBron, I know you referenced Step Brothers the other night in relation to Anthony, but I wanted to know, maybe on a more serious note, the common ground that you guys may share or have shared that allowed the relationship to flourish, and if there's any way that he has an influence on you on the basketball court.
We're not jealous of each other. I think that's the best thing. In professional sports, you have guys that join forces. You call them alpha males. That's what they call them. Two guys that's been dominant in a specific sport on their own respective teams. And they get together and they talk about, okay, how dominant they can be, and they talk about this is going to be this and that. I believe jealousy creeps in a lot. And that is the absolute contrary of what we are. We know who we are. We know what we're about. And we want the best, seriously, every single day, both on and off the floor for one another. We're not jealous of one another. And I think that you align that with respect. I don't think the sky's the limit.
All right, we'll do a couple more here. Kyle?
To follow up on what you just said about you and AD, do you feel like the ability to not be jealous of each other is sort of a natural quality, or is that something that has to be learned for some guys? And what was that like for you, kind of striking that balance?
I don't speak for other guys and I don't know. I just speak for myself, for AD. I know who we are. We respect one another. We drive one another. We command excellence out of one another. And that's what it boils down to. Jealousy and envy has killed a lot of great things, not only in sports, but in general. So if you're able to, just throw that to the side, and throw your egos to the side, but continue to bring that confidence of what y'all trying to do with keeping the main thing. Not saying it's that easy, but for us, it's that easy when it comes to our relationship. Like I said, it doesn't result in wins every night. It doesn't result in, me putting up numbers and him putting up numbers every night. But as far as our brotherhood and our chemistry, that's what it boils down to.
All right, Dan?
LeBron, last night you said that you think it's easier to lose. It's easier to learn from wins than it is from losses. I'm curious though, how did the 2007 finals shape the next 13 years of your career, going through that first trip and feeling that pain from that series?
Well, I mean, obviously they were the better team. Dealing with, Timmy and Manu and Tony and Pop, 4 Hall of Famers. I knew it would be challenging not only, for myself, but for our franchise and for our ball club. I saw the way they approached every game, how they approached every possession, how they were, they didn't make mistakes. They weren't just happy with being there. They wanted to be great as a unit, as individuals as well. And I sensed that as a 22-year-old, and I saw that as a